So let's talk about compare and contrast. This is probably one of the easier reading strategies that we're going to cover. It is an important one because it does involve critical thinking to compare and contrast, and sometimes people get those two terms confused. So we're just going to do a quick review. So what's the difference? Well, when we use the word compare, we're talking about how things are the same. So you compare similarities, but when you say contrast, then you're talking about examining the differences between any two things. So compare similarities, contrast differences. Okay, so to make this a little bit more interesting, we are going to compare and contrast the similarities and differences between two different versions of Alice in Wonderland, which I picked because I thought that everyone would be familiar with those two. So if you have already seen the old Disney version and the new Disney version with Johnny Depp, you don't need to watch these movie trailers to do the activity. You can just go ahead and fast forward through those. But just in case you haven't, I am going to go ahead and play them as part of the video. So we're going to start with the old one and then play the new one. And this bonus one down here is just for extra stuff. If you're interested, you could go to YouTube and play that video. But while you're watching, I want you to make a Venn diagram, which remember looks like this. So you have a circle overlapping with another circle. Put the old movie and then the new movie. And what you're going to do is you're going to write several different points here about what is specific to the old movie, differences, and then differences for the new movie over here. And then everything that the two versions have in common will go in the middle. So if they have a lot in common, you want to make that middle overlap larger, and if they don't have very much, you want that middle overlap to be smaller. Okay, so here is the old version.
Step into Alice's topsy-turvy world, where things appear to be what they're not, and things that are not appear to be. Based on Lewis Carroll's beloved story, Alice's Adventure in Wonderland is an experience to remember as you share the amazing things she sees and the wonderful friends she meets. There's Tweedledum and Tweedledee, the Walrus and the Carpenter, the Mad Hatter, the March Hare, the Cheshire Cat, the White Rabbit, and many more.
I'm late. No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late.
I give myself very good advice, but I very seldom follow it.
A very birthday.
To me?
To you. A very birthday.
For me?
For you.
Little red butterflies kiss the tulips, and the sun is like a toy balloon. There are gifts up in the morning glories in the golden afternoon.
Okay, so that is the old version. And here is the new one. And don't forget, you need to be filling in similarities and differences in the Venn diagram you've drawn on your notes while you're watching these.
Under the gazebo in precisely 10 minutes. Alice Kingsley, will you be my wife?
Well, this is happening so quickly. I think I need a moment.
is a place like no place on earth. Some say to survive it, you need to be as mad as a hatter. Which, luckily, I am. Alice, it's you. You're back. Alice!
Alice!
Z. You're absolutely Alice. I'd know you anywhere. You're all late for tea!
Alice has returned to Wonderland.
Since you've been gone, the Red Queen has taken over all of Wonderland.
Find her!
Help us make the world right again.
I need a pig here. I love a warm pig belly for my aching feet. Stop that. We have our champion.
Hold on tightly.
This is impossible.
And if you believe it is.
Okay, so then that is the second one. Now, one thing that I want you to think about is that if we were going to, for example, write a comparison and contrast essay over this, we would need to watch both of the entire movies, but we don't have time for that. So just make sure you have your Venn diagram filled in. And then this bonus one is about why it's called the Mad Hatter, and how there really were hat-making people who went crazy because of stuff they were doing. So anyways, interesting. Check that out if you want. So I want you to, after you do your Venn diagram, then underneath I want you to write down which one you would rather watch. Even if you've already seen both of them, which one do you like better? And why? Okay, so when we are talking about comparing and contrasting, this is another example of a time that you might need to use this reading strategy or this skill. This is comparing different points about vehicles. Okay, so on the left you have gas vehicles like the Dodge Challenger, and then on the right we're comparing it to an electric vehicle, the Dodge Circuit EV. So the first comparable point is that the gas vehicle, Dodge Challenger, looks sporty and has standard features. And they're saying that this is something that both of them have in common because the electric vehicle also looks sporty and has standard features. Now, the second comparable point is that the Dodge Challenger, the gas one, is powered by a V8 engine, which we know is a gas guzzler, and the electric car is powered by a lithium-ion battery, which if you know anything about electric cars, those type of batteries come with their own challenges. And then the third point that they've used for comparison is that obviously the gasoline car uses gas and the electric car uses electricity through a rechargeable battery. So that's very simple, but that would be like the basic points in a comparison contrast essay, or that you might pick out of an article that compares those two types of vehicles. So what's the point? A comparison between electric vehicles and gas vehicles shows pleasing similarities and also some major differences. Okay, so what can you add to this controversy of the gas vehicles versus the electric vehicles? Because when you're comparing and contrasting, you also want to take into account what you already know, not just what it is that you are reading. So what else can you add? What do you know? And what type of vehicle would you prefer to drive? Make sure that you have an answer to that. Make sure you say why, and then make sure that that's all filled in your reading guide for tomorrow. So when will you use comparing and contrasting in real life? Well, these are just honestly a drop in the bucket. There's so many different times, but you might use it when you have to decide where to go on vacation. Do you want to go to Antigua or to California? You would compare and contrast whether to buy regular eggs, cage-free eggs, or organic eggs. To some people, that's a big deal. You would use it if you had to decide between different types of smartphones. A lot of people are pro BlackBerry, some people are pro iPhone, some people hate Apple, some people love the Android. So you would need to be able to compare and contrast phones. Also, which sports team or athlete is better. You would want to compare and contrast who to vote for in an election, or which friend's story to believe if you have two friends who are in an argument or telling you two different things. You might want to compare and contrast two different summer jobs that you could have, and the list goes on and on and on. So this is a skill that you use daily in your life. And that's it. So I think that the phrase that pays for this slideshow that you need to have to get in the door for tomorrow is bologna sandwich with grape jelly. Make sure that you know bologna sandwich with grape jelly. If you don't have that, we'll know you didn't watch it.